That breaking news now live at 5. Your sensitive personal information potentially published. I'm Tracy Hutchins.
And I'm Alan Devlin. The Fulton County cyber attack now taking a more sinister turn, with officials facing a ticking clock to pay a ransom. Atlanta News First Plus anchor Maria Moreau is live at 5 from the breaking news desk with these brand new details. Maria.
Yeah, the county confirming to Atlanta News First that ransom group Lockbit is urging officials to meet their demands by 8:39 Thursday morning. Now, the details just in: Fulton County says residents' personal information could be leaked, but if that happens, they have a plan in place should any information be released. They are currently working with cybersecurity experts to determine what data may have been stolen. In a statement, officials say, in anticipation of any potential leak of stolen data, we are collaborating with internal and external agencies to ensure individuals who may be affected by the release of any highly sensitive documents are provided resources and support. Now, officials say that they are taking this matter very seriously as they continue to investigate. We will stay on top of this and let you know what we learn as soon as we learn it. Guys, back to you.
All right, Maria, scary stuff there. Thank you. Live